Super.
Don't say it because it's annoying.
Super.
What?
I mean, I get it.
Super. Okay. So let's talk about what would happen with dishonest bidding here. So I'm just going to go through a really quick thing here. So let's say that we've got 4 people. We've got, see, who haven't I used in a while? Let's say we got Steven.
Steve.
You go by Steve now?
Yep.
Okay, so we got Steve. We got Robbie. We got Sam. Okay.
Brett.
We got Sam and we got Brett.
Spell that with 2 T's.
Isn't it just 1 T? It's just 1 T, right?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, everybody's changing their name on me for some reason.
That is not nice.
Everybody Mason said it. Oh wait a minute.
I told a bunch of young that Raj they get the disc out of the computer.
Mason get it wrong.
Oh, geez. Okay. So, okay, quiet. So these guys are splitting up. I don't know. These guys are splitting up their possessions. They're splitting up a TV, a video game system.
I was just gonna say Xbox.
Bring an axe to him, dude.
Stereo,
And stereo.
and a really awesome couch.
That's $5,000 of it.
Steve, Robbie, Lord, Sam, and Brett have all made bids on these things, or how much they think they're worth. Well, and so, like, let's say Sam says that they're all worth the same amount. Sam says they're all worth 100, 100, 100, 100.
So she's the dividers.
Right. So if this is the method of lone dividing, Sam is the one who's divided all of them up. Let's say Brett thinks the TV is worth 50, video game system is worth 200, stereo is worth 125, and the couch is worth 80. Say Robbie's thinks the TV is worth 150, video game's worth 90, stereo is worth 150, couch is worth 90.
Can I vote my opinion?
Sure.
I think the TV is worth 50.
Okay.
The other game is worth 210.
Okay, you're gonna mess this up, but okay.
The stereo was worth 75.
Yeah, you're super gonna mess this up, but okay.
And the couch is worth 70.
Yeah, you're super gonna mess this up.
I just didn't want Brett to get a video game system.
Okay, so if we're using lone divider to split this up, then we have to figure out who gets what. So if we're looking at Steve
Only wants to be.
right. Steve only wants the video game system, so Steve only wants the video game system. Robbie wants the TV. He wants the stereo. Sam wants all of them. TV, video game, stereo, couch. Stop that. Okay. Brett wants the video game system and the stereo. So, Sam gets the couch because she's the only one who wants it. Steve gets the video game system because that's the only thing he wants. And then we have to split up the TV and the stereo between Robbie and Brett. So,
My dude, you got a TV.
Robbie gets the TV
No.
and Brett gets the stereo.
I'm getting gift out of this.
Yeah, it's okay. Blame Steve because he messed it all up. Okay, so
That's so weird.
so does this method seem fair? Okay, quiet. Quiet. Does this method seem fair?
No.
Okay, some of you might say no, but everybody gets something that's worth $100 or 100 things, $100 or more, right? Okay, so now let's take a look at it if we did a method of sealed bids, and let's say one of these 4 people is super greedy.
You can pick my number. I was.
Okay, no, you're who I'm going to say is greedy. So let's say we did a method of sealed bids instead, and let's say one of these 4 is super greedy. So let's say we got Steve, Robbie, we got Sam, and we got Brett. And everybody's going to keep their bets, their bids the same except for Steve, and we're still bidding on the same thing: the TV, video game system, stereo, and couch. So everybody's keeping their bids the same except for Steve. So Robbie still thinks the TV is 150. Robbie still thinks the video game is 90. He still thinks the stereo is 150, and he still thinks the couch is 90. Sam still thinks they're all 100. Brett still thinks the TV's 50, video game's 200, stereo's 125, and couch is 80. But let's say that Steve absolutely wants that video game system. So he's going to bid really high for the video game system.
700.
52.
Sure, let's say 700 for the video game system
I said 50.
and really low on everything else.
1, 1, and 1.
Because he knows,
One.
okay, because he knows that the person who bids highest for the video game system is the person who gets it. So he's going to bid outrageously high.
You have to pay.
Yeah, it's probably not even worth like
Right, but he,
$20 even though it's like a Nintendo.
but he knows that
Nintendo's a bomb.
he doesn't know what anybody else's bids are, and he, okay, quiet. He doesn't know what anybody else's bids are, and he knows that it goes to the highest bidder. So he's going to bid really high for it and really low on everything else because that's the only thing he wants. Okay? So Steve's total bid is going to be 703. And then to find his fair share, you would do 703 divided by 4. So let's find out what that is. So 703 divided by 4 is 175.75. So right now, Steve thinks his fair share is 175.75. He thinks that's not too bad. His fair share is pretty low, but he thinks he's got a good chance of winning the TV or the video game system because he bid really high for it. You guys see where this is coming from?
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a look at everybody else's total share versus fair share. So Robbie, 150 plus 150 is 300. 90 plus 90 is 180. So his
I really wanted that stereo, so I picked it.
480. And then if I do 480 divided by 4, his fair share is 120. Sam, 400 is everything added up, and 400 divided by 4 is 100. It's her fair share. If I do 200, that's 280. 280 plus 50 is 330. 330 plus 125 is 430. 455. And then if I do 455 divided by 4, I get 113.75. So by bidding super high in the video game system, Steve upped his fair share, but it's not really that much more than the other fair shares, is it? Does it seem that much more? So it doesn't really seem like he's affected how much he has to pay in that much. Let's actually see what's going to happen. So Steve's going to get the video game system because he bid highest on that.
I hope.
Who gets the TV?
Okay.
Robbie gets the TV. Who gets the stereo? Robbie gets the stereo.
Yeah.
Who gets the couch?
Brett? No. No, Sam.
Sam gets the couch. So using this method, Robbie gets two things he wants. I should have changed one of these here somewhere.
Change it.
Sure, let's change it. Let's make Brett go 175 for the couch, so that Brett gets the couch and Robbie doesn't have to get two things.
I don't get what?
So that Robbie doesn't get two things.
Man.
So they'll be able to count.
Right, so that nobody gets two things. That's all. I'm just changing it so nobody gets two things.
You still got chipped out of the stereo.
All right.
Dude, no, this
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Now, yeah, the fair share is going to be different. You're right. So I up this by 50. So now this is 505. Thank you for pointing that out, Tira. 505 divided by 4. This is 126. 25. Nice job, Tira, for pointing that out too.
Extra credit. I got you.
Actually,
credit extra.
Tira gets a Panther buck for that.
Not you.
Oh.
Well, you can use it to get me to shave my beard if you want to.
What?
What?
How many?
Right now I'm at 260, I think.
Dang. Did you count?
It's in the morning report.
I do believe you're gonna lose.
Oh, I'm super gonna lose.
I thought it was only 50. I thought it was only 50 but
No, well, that's what it was gonna start out being, but like, Mr. Quinzer has 180, I think. I'm at 260 something. Mrs. Smith is at 100 something, and Mr. Nation 15 last I
I'm
checked.
so confused what's going on.
Mr. Nation's at like 15 Panther bucks
Is it for what?
for him to wear cat gear for a week.
Oh, that's like the most mild thing ever. Like,
I know. It was all he was willing to give up.
like, oh, you can get your pinky cut off, or you gotta dye your hair.
It was all Mr. Nation was willing to give up was to wear cat gear for a week.
Dye my hair.
Like when we were doing the meeting for it, we were like, why don't you get like a cat symbol shaved into your head? And he was like, no, I'm not willing to do that. And we were like, why don't you get your hair dyed blue? And he was like, no, I'm not willing to do that.
So like,
we're like, what are you willing to do, Mr. Nation? He was like, I'm willing to wear cat gear for a week.
What a ground.
I'd wait till like, go like fall.
And I was like, Mr. Nation, I haven't shaved my beard in 10 years, and I'm willing to shave it. And he was like, I'll wear cat gear for a week.
Bruh.
Anyway,
You
okay,
haven't shaved your beard in 10 years.
I haven't.
He's trended, but he hasn't.
Yeah, I trim it. I trim it, but I haven't like
Like, otherwise it'd be like.
shaved.
Razor shave.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. All right. Anyway, back to this.
Do you remember what you looked like? out there?
Yeah,
Are you gonna be scared?
I have pictures of 19-year-old Mr. Taft without a beard.
Did we
I
see
see a
them?
picture.
You want to see a picture of 19-year-old?
I very much do.
I will show you a
I'll show you a picture of
Of
19-year-old Rowdy.
19-year-old Mr. Taft.
My wings out.
George, for all of it.
Your veins. Dude, I can't help it. So I was laughing hard.
That's you.
That's me. That's 19-year-old Mr. Taft.
Oh my god.
Yo, you look. Hold on.
You look like a pimp.
You look like my uncle. Hold up. Hold on, keep that picture up there.
Maybe he probably is your uncle. You just don't know yet.
Actually,
That was when I was wearing contacts for a little bit.
You look like a straight G.
alright, I gotta find
I
the
can
shade.
just see you rolling up at a stop sign, bumping music. Want to race?
You're a party animal.
Ah. What?
Wait.
Go put that on the thing.
Yeah, Robin, put it on the, yeah, seal.
Whoa.
Just go put it on there.
Oh wow.
See.
So let's move it over.
Bruh.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I don't see it.
I see it.
That's pretty great.
All right.
I see it.
So yeah, that's a.
Then,
See, I have another.
That's the last one we had to have a
let's get
beer.
nigga.
It's one of the only pictures I have of me without a beard. Here's another one of me without a beard, and wearing a bandana for some reason. I don't know why.
Yo,
I was 19. I don't know why.
Party.
You're probably like.
Want to see a picture of me wearing a
Were you partying animal back in high school?
Where what?
So that was out of high school. That was in college. Okay, so back to this. Back to math. Okay, quiet. Back to math. Okay, back to math. So Steve got something that was worth $700. So let's just focus on Steve here for a second. So Steve got something that was worth $700, and his fair share is $175.75. So Steve is going to have to pay into the pool. So Steve is going to have to pay into the pool 700 minus 175.75. He's going to have to pay into the pool $524.25. So he's going to have to pay a ton back into the pool for that video game system. So let's look back up here what everybody thought that video game system was worth originally. So everybody thought that video game system was worth at most $200. Steve is now going to have to pay
700.
$500 for a video game system that everybody thought was worth at most $200. Does that make any sense?
Yes, now it's people that play Grand Theft Auto.
Sure, but he could have just bought it himself. So, by trying to rig the system for himself, do you see how Steve kind of screwed himself?
Impossible.
Impossible? Okay, sure.
Yes, I see, Mr. Town.
So, this is why when you're doing like a system like this, you always want to make sure that you're not trying to rig the system in your favor, because by rigging the system in your favor, oftentimes you like screw yourself. So, a lot of people say that in this most recent election, by the media having, so some people think that in the most recent election, the media had a bias towards former Secretary Clinton, and a lot of people point towards that media bias towards Secretary Clinton as having a backlash effect, and that backlash effect being part of the reason why President-elect Trump was elected. And so by rigging this, by a system being, some people thinking a system being rigged, that could actually end up being harmful towards who it was supposed to be rigged for. Does that make any sense?
Not really.
So like, okay. So in our election that just happened, a lot of people thought that the media was painting former Secretary Clinton very favorably and painting President-elect Trump unfavorably. By doing that, some people, and a lot of people in this community even, because our community went something like 90%. If you look at the community by community map, Muscle County voted something like 90% for President-elect Trump. Our community would seem to be one of those. A lot of communities thought that it was unjustly for former Secretary Clinton versus President-elect Trump. And because some people saw that media unbalance, they went in the direction opposite of what the media unbalance was going. And so if a system seems to be trying to move you in one direction, they'll move in the opposite direction. Just like if I say Mason, don't think of a pink elephant.
I just thought of it.
Right. And so it's just like if the media is saying, like sometimes if the media is saying President-elect Trump is this, 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 and this, a lot of times people will think, well, if the media is saying that, it must not be true. And so that some people think that that's part of what led to President-elect Trump being elected.
Well, it's already done it over with, so.
No, it is. It is. I'm just saying that, like I said last week, people are going to be writing about this for a very long time because it came out completely differently than everybody was expecting it to. Anyway, I just think it's interesting. I don't talk about my politics in the classroom.
It's not bad. Just like, did you expect it to go that way?
I didn't know. Every website I went to had him. Well, and it's actually funny because there's one that I went to that broke it down into like a sports metaphor, and they said that President Trump had the same chance of winning, or President-elect Trump had the same chance of winning as a professional kicker missing I think it was like a 20-yard field goal, and that was on the Sunday before the election. And then the following Monday, I forget what game it was, the following Monday, a professional kicker missed a 20-yard field goal. And so I was like, okay, well,
Hey, that's pretty good.
there we go.
But I think it wasn't it? I don't remember.
I forget which team it was, but like it was a ridiculously short field goal, and like it had the same. I forget who it was. I'd have to go back and look, but like I will. But like one of the websites I was looking at, because I was tracking it very closely, and there's a bunch of different websites that had predictions. One of them, Princeton University gave President-elect Trump a 0.1% chance of winning.
Yeah.
So
That was a pretty high chance, I guess, huh?
something.